Welcome to WEFM's 3 p.m. news. I am your presenter, Jessica Klein. First on the local scene. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has stated that the potential for establishing the new regional airline headquarters have not yet been decided, but he has proposed SVG as a prospective choice. On Tuesday, during a press briefing in Kingstown, Prime Minister Gonsalves announced that he received a document from the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB, located in Barbados, which presents a plan for the financing and operation of a regional airline. He said, I thoroughly examined the recent document provided by Dr. Higgins Leon, the president of the Caribbean Development Bank. The document pertains to the revival of a regional airline and outlines the corresponding procedures. The Prime Minister further stated the prospective proprietors of the airline may potentially consist of the governments of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS. The involvement of the Caribbean Development Bank would also need to be considered in this endeavor. He also admitted that there are still tasks that need to be completed and meetings that need to take place, which would take place between the leaders of the OECS and the CDB. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has said that the Social Security Agency, NIS, is sound as the National Insurance Services seeks to implement pension reforms. According to the Prime Minister on Tuesday, the NIS remains, and with the reform will continue to be, the best investment by far that the working man or woman can make. The Prime Minister stated that the upcoming reforms within the NIS's framework are necessary as the current structure for the NIS will bring difficulty by 2034 if it isn't implemented now. Dr. Gonsalves noted that what is being done now prevents future reforms from hurting contributors. He highlighted the major reasons for the reform, which include its initial structure when the Social Security network was introduced and the changing demographics of the Vincentian population. Still on the local scene, CEO of the Medicinal Cannabis Authority, MCA, Dr. Gerald Thompson, has said that SVG is perceived as a step above the other countries in the region when it comes to medical marijuana. His comments followed a visit of St. Kitts and Nevis Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew to the Cana SVG Medicinal Cannabis Farm located here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines as St. Kitts moved to establish its own cannabis sector. While speaking on radio, Dr. Thompson said, what this signifies is that St. Vincent is seen as being a step above the rest in the sense that the industry is a tough industry. It's not just growing, gathering it up, and putting it into a sack and so forth. On the regional scene, the president of the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, Layton Johnson, has said while the country is in a precarious position with educators migrating in large numbers to countries to teach, imposing term limits or quotas to boost retention cannot be the solution. He was responding to a statement by the National Parent Teacher Association of Jamaica, which was issued on Monday. He said, we can't dictate the direction of people's lives. If you decide to go abroad to make your life better, to earn monies, to be able to comfortably take care of your families, I do not think issuing term limits will be the solution. Minister of Education in Jamaica, Favour Williams, in July, stated that there was a 43% reduction in teacher migration this year, following 427 teacher resignations from the local education sector since January. Williams emphasized that teachers migrate for personal reasons, as she highlighted that there have been misleading information and reports on social media regarding the reasons as to why teachers migrate. Still on the regional scene, a 34-year-old businessman who is suspected of murdering a man at Bartica in Guyana was released on a $1 million station bail pending further investigations. Police in Guyana disclosed that the suspect was released on Saturday. He was arrested following the murder of 40-year-old Mark Braithwaite, which occurred on August 23rd at a Blast Gaming Center. According to reports, the 40-year-old was a customer at the gaming center, which is owned and operated by the suspect's 63-year-old father. On the day in question, the suspect was left in charge of the gaming center while Braithwaite, a regular customer, was playing at one of the slot machines. The suspect and Braithwaite had a misunderstanding over alcohol being spilled on the countertop, which led to the suspect arming himself with a hammer, inflicting several blows to the victim's head and face. Braithwaite fell on the ground and remained motionless. He was taken to Guyana's Bartica Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival by a doctor. And on the international scene, Australians are set to vote in a historic referendum on October 14th to decide whether to enact an Indigenous voice to Parliament. The vote, if approved, will recognize Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island people in the country's constitution and establish a permanent body for them to give advice on laws. The country has not had a successful referendum in almost 50 years. For it to succeed, a majority of Australians need to vote yes. There also needs to be a majority support in at least 4 of Australia's 6 states. The composition, functions, and powers of the body, whose advice would not be binding, would then be designed and debated by the Parliament. This has been WEFM's 3 p.m. news. I have been your presenter, Jessica Klein. Join us again at 5:30 p.m. for WEFM's evening news, and we thank you for listening.